One of the things when you work with the persecuted church, it's very intense. And that's where my life has been. And I still continue to tell those stories. And I mean, the reason I ended up, I guess as one of the hosts of 100 Huntley Street is because I was a constant guest on here and came from a broadcasting background. And, I was surprised to given this great opportunity, and I'm so thankful for it. And we get to talk about the persecuted church and share their stories to a national audience. And then to work in a great ministry, again, of a guy that left a great legacy for us in David Maines. And so to have the opportunity to share those stories, hear testimonies, and the people, the friendships I've made and the connections. And I mean, we're all working in this together. We have one goal, and that's glorifying Jesus through a testimony of somebody that we're sharing on Huntley Street or somebody that's suffering for the gospel in a country like Nigeria. I think one of the things I've learned, and I've had to learn, is His grace for me. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I think maybe being somewhat of a performer. And in many ways, I think over the years, I've had to try to separate that in somewhat from my Christian, walk and my walk with Jesus, is that He's not asking me to perform. He loves me the way I am. Sometimes I say those words, even on 100 Huntley Street, God loves you the way you are. And then I have to look at myself, but do I believe that? And I've come to the conclusion, yes, He loves me just as I am, whether I'm a host on 100 Huntley Street, traveling the world with a persecuted church, being at home with my family, which is very important to me. But the pressure that I would put on myself, I think I've been able to understand and really get an understanding of His grace. And I think the thing that I've really learned is His love is unconditional.
God's been working in Greg's life in the past few years in just teaching him how to rest. That 0 to 60 has been constant, which is a good thing, but also it's caused him to be weary as well. What I've seen in the result of those changes, the changes of rest, is that Greg has become a better husband and a better father. It's a wonderful thing to see, just a man that is much more at peace than he's ever been in his whole life.
I had a situation recently. It was unprompted, by my youngest daughter, Amelia. I have 4 children. She's the youngest of the 4. And, we'd been talking about God. And in our home, we've really tried to be natural in our relationship with God. And so Amelia, one time, I'm just sitting on the couch, and she comes over to me, and she's just such a sweet kid. And she gives me a hug, and she says, "Daddy, thank you for showing me God." And I thought, this kid knows all the brokenness. She's seen me when I've not been always at my best. But I thought, if she thinks that and she knows everything about me, I'm going, wow, that is amazing. To me, that's success. I believe God has sustained our marriage because both Arlene and I are committed in our relationship with Jesus. There's times, probably more from her side than from my side that hey, I don't know if I need this. But that's what kept us together. We were committed to Jesus when we made those wedding vows, back more than 30 years ago. We meant them. So what are we making here?
Coconut rice and chicken.
Sometimes you feel like you're just hanging on by a thread in your marriage, and yet that thread was the Lord, and He was drawing us in. And I think for me, I had to get to that part where I was broken and that I could lose my marriage. I remember at that point I said, you know what? I don't have a ministry. I don't have anything if I can't get this together in my marriage. And it was after that I sought out marriage counseling, received healing, and almost immediately there was change. The best years of our marriage have been our recent years, and I think that has been also an example to our kids.
I think what we've learned in our marriage that has sustained us is forgiveness.
Okay, cut the broccoli just into bite-sized pieces that you put in the pan, not in your mouth.
And to agree to disagree at times. It's very difficult to always agree on everything, and we've really discovered that it is okay.
Sometimes it's gonna get rough, absolutely. There will be good points, but there'll be some dark times. And if your commitment with the Lord is strong and you say, I will not give up on this because this is what God has called us to do, to live together until one of us, passes on. life goes so fast. It feels like the birthdays are coming quicker. The those main birthdays, those every 10-year birthdays seem to be coming quicker and quicker. Getting older, and I think as I don't think I can't quite see the finish line yet, but I'm getting closer to it. So that's what really drives me, is to see people come into a relationship with Jesus, see them discipled, see them transformed, so they too would have that same desire to reach people with this amazing message that God has given us. And I want to go through that finish line. I might be 100 years old when it happens, but I want to finish well, and I want to go blazing through to the end.